Today I'd like to share with you my new story and my poem tweets that I wrote in English and in Russian. And in English, the title is "We go step for step, we're family." And in Russian, "Мы идем нога в ногу, мы семья." How important it is to meet the people who we trust, who we love and who love us in their turn. That's very important. Each of us has his or her own talents, intentions, his or her own vocation in life, and his or her own occupation and passion. And that's very important to follow your own route. But on this route, we cannot move alone. We need other people. We need their support. We need their inspiration, as they need the support from us as well. So, my story I began with the charming quotation of Richard Bach. It says, "The bond that links your true family isn't one of blood, but of respect and joy in each other's life." I think it's fair. But let's start. What do we all dream about from very early days? What inspires us and brings more and more energy to overcome difficulties, to win and to climb up further? Why does the baby smile and laugh, neck and croak when his parents are happy for him? We all seek for approval for people who share common values with us and respect our interests, those who support and encourage us to develop and accomplish more. When you were a kid, remember how great you felt when showing some new knowledge and skills to your mom and dad. They praised you and maybe even clapped joyfully their hands, expressing that your achievements meant a lot. They were not just a child's play, not at all. And it didn't matter whether you learned to roll over to make first steps or to tell a simple four-line poem by heart. The sole fact of their approval and support was the thing of the greatest importance. When you grew older and your social circle got broader as well, how delightful it was to hear sweet and kind words from your teachers, classmates, friends, and then from your first love partners and colleagues. A living creature is always a social creature. Even plants set up unions with insects and animals for mutual help and welfare. For example, the bush, Acacia conigera, will never become an adult plant without support of ants. Acacia needs them to assure its protection from other harmful insects, being abundant in the environment and other bushes casting shadow on it, and thus threatening Acacia's welfare, to get rid of web, caterpillars, and dry leaves and so on. But in its turn, the clever plant provides a gorgeous home and delicious food to its guards. In other words, those two different representatives of flora and fauna create a perfect partnership and a sustainable union. The bush grows fast and soon overgrows its neighbors, enjoying direct sun rays and solid health. The ants, for their part, have shelter ideally meeting their demands. They go step for step in the course of their lives. And people are not too much different from the rest of the world. Without love, care, and support, a child would hardly become a self-confident and independent person capable to take his own decisions and follow his unique path. But even for adults, it is extremely hard to prosper in severe external conditions. Everybody needs a family, and the family can have lots of faces. It can be a person who you love and trust. It can be your close friends and relatives who support and encourage you wherever you go and whatever you choose. We may have various inclinations, talents, and interests, but what we actually look and strive for is to find a person or a number of people with whom we are able to move together in the same direction of values, with whom we can frankly and easily share our most sincere wishes and dreams, backdoor fears and troubles, and even things we don't really like about them ourselves. You drift together at the same pace, without unnecessary and energy-consuming pushing and pulling of the other person, just you go in your own way, however you look and move in the same direction. That's the most precious wonder one can discover in his life. And this union is real family. I remember in the earliest days of our relations with Ivan, and even in the course of the first years of our marriage life, we had a lot in common. We shared our hopes, wishes, fears, and troubles, but yet those were never innermost topics that inhabited me or him. Of course, we had mutual plans about our own apartment, traveling throughout Europe, career, and personal development. However, in very rare cases, we talked about real sincere things. Each time I tried to express my values and overall attitude to life, Ivan said I was too serious and shouldn't think too much about all that philosophy stuff. When I, in my turn, wanted to understand more about his long-term goals and beloved dreams, he just turned my questions and his answers into a joke and changed the topic. Now I realize Ivan simply had nothing to say, since he didn't have any long-lasting and profound aims and wishes. Ivan's slogan was "Don't worry, be happy," and for a couple of years it was sufficient to keep afloat our family. In general, he shared my strive for work and career and supported me in my professional growth. However, he could barely understand for what to change a perfect calm place, moreover being well paid, with very convenient working hours from 10 to 6, good central location with the park over the road and friendly colleagues. I explained I couldn't just spend 2/3 of my life in a boring way. Every 2-3 years I felt like internal thirst to go further, and usually the company where I was working at the time was unable to assure my future personal and professional development, and I had nothing but to change the place of work. By all means, people are different, and many are content with a sustainable, well-paid job, even which doesn't appear interesting to them. My ex-husband belonged to that group, and here is nothing dramatic at all if the wife and the husband had different attitudes towards work, their vocation, and individual development in general. Moreover, it is even better when the couple can complement each other and every person focuses on the inclinations he or she possesses. However, what does matter is that you don't convert your family fields in a football battle, competing with each other and trying to impose your way of thinking. In the family, the members go step for step, arm in arm, supporting and helping each other. Avoid the multiple traps and pitfalls which occur from time to time on the path chosen by the close people you love, and giving them a helping hand when necessary. In our family, the situation was rather curious. In the public eye, Ivan always shared my values and craving for work and knowledge. He showed every person, in particular our friends, how proud he was of his many-sided and successful wife. He even made great display about my achievements in career, my multiple business trips abroad and within Russia, and trustful relations with colleagues, including my bosses and subordinates. As for me, I was usually not a fan of gossiping about my professional life, mainly for two reasons. The first, I am too superstitious to reveal my plans and ideas to others, especially when I am not sure about them myself. Secondly, I think each person is good at his own domain and devout in his own temper. Thus, it makes no sense to boast about your personal progress. Yet, the troubling point was not in the husband talking big about his wife. In fact, it is pretty nice and touching when members of one family admire each other and feel at ease to show their acknowledging emotions in front of the other people. However, as soon as I and Ivan got tete-a-tete, all his acclaim vanished into the air. Actually, my ex-husband was simply jealous about my success, but he paid attention only to the final result and didn't take into account how many efforts the achievement of the goals would cost me. On the other hand, unconsciously, he caught the idea of necessity to work hard if one wants to develop, but he was reluctant to put his back, time, and patience to career and personal advancement. In the course of my work at management company airports of regions, first as an interpreter, then as the senior quality manager responsible for international projects and for the local airport quality departments of the group, Ivan appeared to be very enthusiastic about my job. Even I experienced doubts from time to time if to continue, since the work was incredibly intense and health exhausting. It was practically non-stop, round the clock. I felt really happy when I got a rare chance to have lunch and to recover my breath, just for half an hour, or when nobody called me and wrote me messages to my working email at night, and I could sleep my fair 5-6 hours without external intervention. Twice a month, I usually went on business trips to our local airports to implement new tasks, train staff, and control the overall quality function there. Sometimes I traveled to international conferences of the Global Airport Association, which I enjoyed a lot. There I met new people very smart and warm-hearted, whatever their position was. The peculiar trait I highly appreciate in the Europeans and Americans, since it doesn't matter what background you have behind you, what your social status is, whether you're rich or not, they look at you as at a person with his individual talents and strengths, and the way they communicate with others is always on an equal footing. I had conversations with the directors and owners of big airports groups of the world who were very influential and powerful people, and the manner they talked was always very friendly and inspiring. Of course, the status was of importance to them as well, but they were eager every time to learn new things and to treat others according to their personal qualities and professional competence, and that fact was a real pleasure. In contrast with my international experience, the Russian high and mighties usually tend to ignore those who are at a lower position and not as rich as they are. Unfortunately, these power players often refuse to pay the slightest attention to the little people who don't belong to their select circle. In general, such men of communication lacking respect, one could have understood if such top-rank personalities really had achieved what they owned, thanks to their smart nature, outstanding professional competence, and hard work. However, in Russia, at least in my memory, it is typically the opposite. A confident person is simple. He doesn't need to prove anything to anybody. He is self-sufficient. And as lots of psychologists show in eager rivalry within their studies and books, the more you try to dig indoors by means of the other people, the bigger sense of grandeur about yourself you possess, the less you present in fact. And as the world-famous proverb says, the more one knows, the better he understands how little his knowledge is. And here I agree entirely. The process of development is everlasting. There is no beginning, no end. The further you go, the deeper you comprehend that each person is a living creature just like you or your close circle, with his or her individuality and uniqueness. Moreover, we all are at different levels and more on at a very speed, and we move on at very speed, and even when you already know something the other person hasn't yet acquired, once you were also like him, starting with the nuts and bolts. And the most important thing is to learn to accept each other and yourself as is. That's real art and perfect mastery. In our family life with Ivan, that unconditional acceptance of the other person was however missing. His attitude to me in general and to my career path was full of contradictions. On the one hand, I incited him to develop himself. I came as a breath of fresh air to him, necessary to live and not to get stuck in the routine. On the other, that gulp I gave him on a regular basis with my own example probably was too big for him to take in. Thus, instead of moving together in one direction, sharing with each other worries and hopes, and inspiring each other not to give up in front of the difficulties and to overcome them bravely, we argued almost every ordinary day, with the final hokum having become an integral part of each our home dispute. When Ivan clapped this or that door in the flat, showing with all his existence how offended and disappointed he felt with me and the whole our mutual life. Since my ex-spouse couldn't find appropriate and reasonable words to explain his weird and rather aggressive behavior, such theatrical performance was the best option and a straight blow, because we both knew he would not dash me round in the verbal duel. But I could hardly withstand crying, yelling, hollering, as everything else leading to no outcome but to a dead end. Just at the dawn of the crisis in the airport industry, followed by multiple economic sanctions, I tapped the opportunity at work to go on my last business trip to Geneva, Switzerland. It was September 2015. The time was already 4 young and friendly. Somehow I managed to convince our Koltsova airport director to let me visit the international gathering of airport representatives from all over the globe. In fact, the 3-day meeting was an ideal combination of pleasant and useful things, in the course of which all participants enjoyed the welcome party hosted by Geneva's airport, the gorgeous dinner at one of the best restaurants in the city, the professional and educational excursion through the mysteries and secrets of Geneva's airport, and the most important, the 3-day exchange of knowledge, know-how, ideas and plans in the industry with international colleagues. As a whole, Ivan was happy for me flying abroad for a couple of days, as he said. I'll make use of these 3 days of calm and peace. I'll invite my friends and will sit in a real man's company, no ladies allowed. And of course, as soon as I arrived to my hotel in Geneva, I called my husband as usual and promised sharing with him my plans for the day. As a rule, the first day was free, with the grand welcome party in the evening. So I planned to go to the city center during the day to enjoy the beautiful views of the romantic city, still green and warm, and afterwards to greet my colleagues. The next evening, I told Ivan about my first impressions about the city and the people and experiences from the conference. It goes without saying they were abundant, and I was very excited and delighted as it had already happened many times before. For me, it is normal and how it should be in the family when people openly talk with each other about their daily events. It doesn't matter too much whether that is the news about something extraordinary and new or normal and ordinary. The process itself is of high importance to have sustainable and trustful relations. Because if a couple shrinks in his or her shell, then the family doesn't make sense anymore. Step by step, day after day, you simply loosen this invisible bond that unites you together, and one day you'll wake up and see a stranger lying nearby on the bed in your mutual home. The most precious effect of the family is the effect of synergy. You combine your talents, beauty, efforts, and individuality, and together you reach much more than you would have accomplished on your own. Moreover, as social creatures, we all need to share with others, both encouraging and frustrating things occurring constantly in our lives, influencing and changing us as well. And when you create a family, you announce loudly that you are ready for that shift, and you wish to move together with that person and those people for your common welfare and happiness. Of course, I understood Ivan's behavior. For him it was difficult to accept his wife was moving faster than him in personal and professional development. One of my friends mentioned once a comment about me. Olga, you are like a flying winged horse Pegasus, gorgeous and seducing with its beauty and energy. And the people around you wish to fly with you together, but you never stop, and they can't keep pace with you for long. And one day the distance is too big, and you are gone. Perhaps there is a ring of truth in those words. However, I've never pressed against a person to travel at the same tempo with me and to follow the same path. That's ridiculous. We are all different. And I don't wish to see another Olga next to me, but moving in tandem with your close people, developing your own talents and supporting each other on the way. That's crucial for a family. You don't have to look at each other as my ex-spouse did. You'll become either jealous and frustrated or lofty or pretentious. And on the eve of my coming back to Russia from Switzerland, Ivan phoned me already tipsy and began to throw spiteful and offending words at me. Surely, in a sober state, he would have curbed his tongue. But as people say, what soberness conceals, darkness reveals. And in the true family, the backbone on which everything else is being built is respect. And Ivan's speech merely showed his lack of respect towards his wife. And in such a situation, long-run relations are never possible. First passion, delight will come down with the time, and the basement of love is respect, in which acceptance of your beloved person as is, trust and loyalty are rooted. It doesn't require any degree to understand that those blaming words I'd heard from my husband on a regular basis cut me to the heart. At the beginning he used to apologize for them, but in the course of the years he expressed more and more often his low attitude to me one-on-one, which little by little had turned into a common practice. Moreover, Ivan even got peeved with me when I pointed him at such rude behavior. But it took me some more years to understand the person who I had married and loved would not change. The family leans on 3 pillars: respect, trust, and acceptance. You don't need to be equal, not at all, but you can build a close-knit family only when you go step for step, hand in hand, cheering up and inspiring each other. And if one day you wake up and realize clearly that you are like neighbors living in one home, it is better not to wait for another 10 years to come, but to make this tough and not easy decision and cut the rope. Because when one person suffers in the family, the other its members cannot be happy either. We all are interpenetrating and interdependent. Of course, you need to accumulate sufficient force, enthusiasm, and determination to say goodbye to your habits and to make a step into the unknown future. But that step into the unexplored will finally bring freedom, your insight, and the chance to be yourself, both to you and your partner or the people with whom you barely imagine to separate ever. When we leave something behind us and don't look constantly back, we free up the space for our present and future, and in the end, we pave the way that brings us joy, inspiration, and fulfillment. And on this true way we meet then the people who, like us, were brave enough to follow their heart, and who knows, maybe these new people are our real family, eager to share with us the joy of going step for step, arm in arm. And now my poem. We draw the first breath alone. We leave this world on our own, but in the course of the long life path, we face other people who influence us. As part of this world, we can't live alone. We'd like to meet those who understand our soul, the people we trust and give us support, who share with us our values and thoughts. It's easy to say, but tricky to find, and on this life way. I'm not always right. I make my mistakes, but I follow my route. I'm often seduced by the nice outer look. The years slide past, the daily routine absorbs me so fast. It's a well, my dreams, but once I wake up and I understand it's time for a change, to remember myself. I've doubts, of course, to start over again, but I'd like to be who I am and not to pretend. The path is not simple and full of pitfalls. New friends joined my way. Together we are strong. Thank you very much, my dear friends, readers and listeners. I hope that you really meet these people on your life path with whom you will go together through all your life, and together you'll enrich each other, bring inspiration to each other, and fulfill your sincere and beloved dreams. See you very soon. Yours, Olga. Bye bye.